Damien Balson-Jones is now studying physics at Imperial College, but he says race is only part of the story.
It's not necessarily to do with race, it's more to do with your environment. If you send somebody of any skin colour to, say, Eton College, they're likely to end up at a very good university compared to if you send someone to an inner state school, it's going to be a lot harder. So if you're not in the best area surrounded by people who want to do well, it is really difficult regardless of who you are, because even at my university, I was having a conversation with somebody the other day and we were just talking about our friend group and we were like, who actually went to a state school apart from me, and nobody else did. So it will be quite interesting if you could see the statistics on maybe inner city state school admittance rate, because I'm pretty sure that would be lower than, like, say, the Afro-Caribbean rate in the entire university.
They talk about the sense of a cultural fit. The idea that if you put, for example, rap music on the curriculum, which rap, let's face it, is poetry, a lot of young black boys would be getting A's.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe in that? Or shouldn't young black boys have to fight their terrain like everybody else?
I agree with both points. So first of all, I do believe if you tailored it more towards the interests of what a young black person will be into, I do think they'll perform better. But I do believe that you just kind of have to play with the hand you're dealt.
I can understand Simeon's view that environment plays a bigger part than race. Tony Sewell, the man who dreamt up this scheme, acknowledges that things have changed since 2006.
At the time, London schools were notoriously bad. More the bog than the standard, to be honest. It wasn't necessarily all about racist teachers. But in fact, what it was about the inability, really, to deal with a peer group that was anti-school. The problem hasn't gone away, Dotton, but it's improved. For example, a lot of those students are in schools now that have high aspirations for them.
So let's go back to those initial 10 boys. What was the key ingredient, do you think?
Taking the boys out of a comfort zone and exposing them to something that was completely different and that was high end. I think the second thing for me was the fact that the intervention for those boys would never be just a one-hit story. We worked with them over a period of time.
Ryan Shorthouse is an expert on education and social policy at the think tank the Social Market Foundation. He has some reservations about Generating Genius's approach.
Some of the issues with the organisation are whether it really adds value. If this person hadn't been in this scheme, would they have, got the grades that they had? Have they gone on to university? I think a lot of evidence on education shows that an individual's educational trajectory is determined very early on in their lives. What we really need to do is build a high-quality preschool education system, because I think the kids from less affluent backgrounds will do much better in the long term if they're exposed to high-quality preschool education. And I think that's where you get the bang for your buck. So if I was going to deploy public resource, I would want to do it on something which has a robust, rigorous evaluation. And I'm not sure that Generating Genius has quite achieved that yet. In terms of, does it add more value than high-quality preschool education, for example? I don't think it does. However, that's not to say that Generating Genius doesn't add value in some way. It's a good thing. The government should look to promote it, but with limited public funding, it shouldn't go to Generating Genius.
Marcus Nelson, who we heard from at the beginning of the programme on his way to Jamaica, is now studying biochemistry at Bristol University.
Clearly in Bristol, there aren't many mixed race or black people, students there. For me, the race isn't the biggest thing. The biggest thing for me was the difference in class. So the black people that are there, they are from the middle class, and so they seem like everyone else and they can easily fit in. The difference in class really shows when you talk about your interests. And I might say football and they'll say rugby, or I'll say computer games and they'll say skiing. That's where it's difficult to form relationships and fit in. So
I think I'm special because I've had loads of photo shoots. I've been going to be on telly. I've been in the newspaper. Yeah, so I think I'm famous and stuff because I'm smart and Like, I'm the main person, innit? Yeah, so I want to be rich when I'm older. So
Innit?
I want to be a doctor. Yeah, because doctors get loads of money, innit? Yeah, probably a doctor that gives you lots of money.
That's a good answer.
What do you think when you hear your 12-year-old self there, the main man, innit?
Well, I guess I'm still pretty similar, actually. I think that everyone should believe that about themselves. But yeah, I guess at that age, especially, I sounded a bit arrogant, especially saying that I'm the main man and I'm famous. It's quite funny to hear it back, actually.
You've dropped the innit, and you've dropped the South London brogue. Where did that go?
As you get older, you start to become more conscious of the world and class and, professional careers. And around the age of 14, 15, I remember coming back home and telling my mum that I wanted to learn more words. So I just came home and I'd get the dictionary out and learn 10 words a day and just keep on doing that.
Do you still want to become a doctor?
The way I think about it is I would like to do a job that only I can do. And so I want a job where, so for example, teaching where, okay, yes, somebody else can be a teacher, but can they inspire that student the way I can, or can they engage them the way that I can? So a job that's more about maybe creativity or imagination, more along those lines.
Whatever career he chooses, Marcus and the other boys from 2006 are faced with one stark statistic of today. 49% of black men between the ages of 16 and 24 are officially classed as unemployed. That's compared to 21% of their white counterparts. Marcus is preparing to do battle against those stats, and meeting him in the flesh, there is one obvious difference from those teenage photos of him on the Generating Genius website.
I started to grow my afro because a girl I liked at the time said I would look nice if I grew my hair.
Yeah, it's always the way with young boys, isn't it? It's always a girl there, a femme fatale somewhere or other. Why did you cut it off?
I had a work placement at Shell. I had my hair in cornrows, but part of the feedback was that even that's not smart enough to have in a corporate work environment. The next day, actually, I undid my my cornrows and I just shaved my head off. You do get more respect from people in general if, you look a bit more professional, just from everyone. Having an afro sort of makes you appear as a bit more of a joke. So that's why I cut it off, really.
Have you changed since going to university? Have you lost those working class roots?
It's never black and white in life with anything, but I would say, based on the general perception of class, right now I'd say I'm middle class.
You're shedding your working class roots.
Shedding them? Maybe covering them up a little bit.
Jamal has set his sights on a career in investment banking. How does he feel about the stats that suggest that there's 50% chance of him being unemployed?
When you hear that statistic, it's a shocking statistic, and it's quite sad hearing that statistic. But I've already probably done a lot to combat that statistic, getting to where I've gotten to at 21. The qualifications I've received, taekwondo, everything that I do. At this stage, if I haven't done everything I've already done at 21, then it's too late. When you come out of the education system, you take your qualifications to the job market, then the challenges you face once you get there are going to be a lot different based on your background, based on the colour you are, based on your gender. And I think that's the reason why I think the colour going into education is important.
But are 12-year-old black boys aware of that?
Maybe a 12-year-old isn't thinking that, but are their family thinking that? And if their family's thinking that, then their family's not pushing them towards the education system, because their family's maybe thinking, well, school didn't do anything for me, school's not going to do anything for you.
Generating Genius has grown since Jamal and the others joined in 2006. There are now some 500 young people involved in the organisation. There's now a uni-genius scheme, which prepares slightly older pupils for the top universities and for careers. The scheme now takes disadvantaged young people from all ethnic backgrounds, and it even takes girls. The awards ceremony for this year's intake was held at Google's shiny headquarters in London. An enthusiastic student quartet played the background music as the candidates trooped up for their awards.
I think it was very important for it to be opened up for girls because we don't necessarily get to be at the top of the business sector or the best scientists. So it really gave us an opportunity to see people who we can aspire to.
I was lucky enough to get an internship, work shadowing placement with the help of my mentor. Uni Genius has brought the bridge between us students and the professional world.
Black boys are no longer the worst performing students in our school system. In recent years, it's been poor white boys who have been at the bottom of the league tables. A recent report by the think tank, the Centre for Social Justice, shows that only 26% of white boys on free school meals achieved 5 A-star to C grades last year. That's compared with 40% of black boys. Tony Sewell of Generating Genius.
For us, as a charity, we're now looking at working class white boys. I see myself as the black David Livingstone, going back into areas of Essex in particular, where white boys are saying to me, oh, they don't want to work hard anymore. And I'm saying, no, I've come to save you.
Is your gospel exactly the same for the white boys of Essex as it was for the black boys of inner city London?
Yes. Because if you think about it, we de-racialized our boys. The message really for them was your background doesn't mean anything anymore because you're a genius. What is happening around those schools, exactly what happened around the black schools in London, and that is the teachers around those students, as well as their parents, some of them, have very low aspirations for those students. They do not see university as on their radar, yeah? And I need to put it on their radar.
As one of the scheme's pioneers, Marcus was a keynote speaker at the award ceremony.
And in Jamaica we did geology, got to ride a speedboat, cloned a pineapple, made soap, didn't use it, but made soap. And that was only in the first year.
It's been really inspiring for me to meet these young men, as thoughtful and hardworking as they are, and with a real sense of social responsibility. They want to do things for their communities. It will be fascinating to see where this journey leads them in the next 7 years.
I'm really being pulled towards teaching, actually, becoming a great science teacher, because I think a lot of science graduates that have communication skills, I think they end up in investment banking or something else. I don't know, I can see myself in the kids, so I try to help out in any way I can.
Do you see it as a responsibility that you should be role models, if you like?
I don't see it as my responsibility. I like to see it more so that it's my duty almost. The key thing is, will it be enough? That's what I think, the question we need to really be addressing going forward.
Where do you see yourself?
I'd say working in the energy field, or the path that most engineers lead to these days is finance. I might just, see the money and run. No more student debt, please.
Can you then, you, Marcus, Jamal and all the others, could you change the perception of young black boys when they go into the employment world?
I definitely feel that Generation Genius has prepared us and made us more aware of, our responsibilities in the community. And I definitely feel like the work is still in front of us, and, I think we're all up to the task.